Apparently, Xbox was a little jealous that Nintendo was selling 154 million Switches, so they decided to jump in with their own gaming handheld, the Xbox Ally X, which sells for $1,000. We're gonna see how well that works out for them. Fun fact, if you buy a big jerry-rig knife, you'll get a little jerry-rig knife for free. Just put them both in your shopping cart at the same time, and then you can put them both to work opening up all your Christmas presents. It's the best 15 bucks you'll ever spend, way better than 1,000. Anyway, inside the box there's a little hidden Easter egg in the top lid, a portable dock made of paper. It is definitely made out of paper. Also, inside the box we have the console itself. It's basically a handheld computer with full-blown Windows installed, kind of like a laptop with way less buttons. There's also a 65-watt charger in the box, and since it's basically a whole computer, it definitely needs every watt it can get. There's a few more paper instruction booklets, but I think we've had enough paper for the moment. The Xbox Ally X is wrapped in a clear plastic, and the first time you turn it on, it also needs to be plugged in, which is fine. Everything is fine. You might have noticed that this Xbox Ally X is co-branded with another familiar name in the gaming space, ROG. These guys make laptops, graphic cards, phones, and now of course, handheld Xboxes. With the Xbox now outside of the regular box, I feel like the screen is quite a bit more dim than I was expecting, even though Xbox says it's 500 nits. This might just be my imagination, but it does look way less bright than the supposedly 450 nit LCD on the Switch 2. To be fair, it could just be that Hogwarts is a darker game, but for sure ROG doesn't want you to forget who makes this hardware with its little ROGX BOX lettering plastered 1,000 times all over the surface. Even the texture on the side grips is made up of bajillions of little ROG letters. But I guess it is a gaming system, so it's okay if the shell looks like a broken crossword puzzle. Let's see what the screen is made of. One interesting aspect of the Nintendo Switch 2 is that the screen starts scratching at a level 2, since the exterior layer is a permanent plastic screen protector. Gorilla Glass Victus, like we see here on the Xbox Ally X, starts scratching at a level 6 with deeper grooves at a level 7. This is great from a scratch resistance perspective, but without the screen protector, it does leave the Ally X in a more vulnerable position to shattering its screen. And as any gamer would attest, being in a vulnerable position is the last thing you want on a $1,000 piece of hardware. Just FYI, my channel sponsor Dbrand does have two rectangular oleophobically coated screen protectors for just 19 bucks. I'll leave a link in the description, and yes, they are indeed real glass. Making our way up to the buttons on the Xbox Ally X, I realized that my microphone rage quit and threw in the towel. So to anyone who doesn't like the sound of plastic scratching, you're welcome. Enjoy the few moments of silence. It'll be back momentarily. I am allowed to make a mistake every decade or so, so please forgive me. I do like the way the clear buttons look, but I think the matte buttons on the Switch 2 are a little more practical and hold up to abuse better. But if you're nice to them, I'm sure everything will be fine. The joysticks are just sleeved in a rubberish grip. This can be sliced through and peeled away. I imagine it'll take a decade's worth of daily use for the rubber to detach, so I'm not too worried about it. I got it fixed. The rest of the buttons and the directional pad are made with a hard plastic, along with every other piece of exposed material. It's all plastic, even around the dual USB-C ports, volume buttons, vents, micro SD card slot, headphone jack, and fingerprint scanning power button. And game controllers have been plastic for decades, but they have also never cost $1,000 before, so I'm rather torn on the material choice. And yes, the Nintendo Switch 2 is also made from plastic, but it's also half the price. Do you think Xbox should have upped their materials game or dropped their price? Let me know down in the comments. The psychedelic decal with ROG's logo for the trillionth time is just a glorified sticker. For $1,000, you might think that the 7-inch 1080p display would be OLED, but with how the pixels immediately go black and then recover, we know that it's an IPS LCD. Compared to the current competition, I think this Xbox Ally X is overvalued by about 200%. Even the Steam Deck gives us an OLED version for about 550 bucks. But at least now we know what it's made of. But what about its structure? As a portable gaming console, it's definitely subject to the same, if not more, egregiously extreme abuses than smartphones might come across. Luckily though, in part due to its massively thick body and stocky plastic shell, there is no snapping this thing in half from the back nor the front. And when I try to torque the sides around, the torsion has no lasting effect on the console. It's still very much alive and well, extremely solid. The Xbox Ally X survives my durability test. Xbox has historically hidden some Easter eggs inside of the regular Xbox consoles, and since this Ally X survived, we'll have to open it up manually to see if there are any hidden gems this time around. There are 8 black Phillips head screws around the backside of the console, very visible and very easy to remove, and thankfully we'll only need 1 bit from my toolkit this time around, since everything inside uses the same screw head. With the back panel off, I'll unclip one of these ZIF connectors that plug the rear buttons on the back to the motherboard. And yes, the official name of these style of plugs is actually ZIF, Z-I-F. It's got a latch at one end, and the ribbon with its gold contacts can be plugged in with zero insertion force, hence the acronym ZIF. Xbox and ROG use a lot of these inside the Ally X. She's still awake though, so I'll hit the old power button and put her to sleep for the rest of the operation. There are some hexagons molded into each of the side grips, not quite an Easter egg, but I'll take it. The Ally X has a pretty large battery that spans the entire width of the console. I'll remove the 5 more screws and pull up on the battery plug. Then we get our first look at all 80 watt-hours of it. For reference, the 14-inch MacBook Pro has a 72 watt-hour battery, so this thing is packing some power, and it is super easy to replace, so massive thumbs up for that. The other part that's super easy to replace is the M.2 SSD. I'll just remove one little screw and he pops right up like he's excited to be out. So far I'm a fan of the modularity. And speaking of fans, I'll remove those next. These are the same turbo-style fans we see in other laptops and inside the Red Magic gaming phones. In the 5 minutes my console was awake, it did get pretty hot to the touch, so the fans are definitely needed. I'll remove another ZIF ribbon and the screws that hold down the back of the joystick. This little potentiometer is very easy to swap out, and there does seem to be some disappointment in the gaming community that these are pots and not hulls. And I agree, potentiometers use physical contacts that wear away, so these joysticks will start drifting eventually, where Hall effect joysticks use magnetic sensors for better durability and longevity, but they are more expensive. The Nintendo Switch 2 also uses the same potentiometer style joysticks, so it is what it is. I was just hoping that at $1,000 we would see some more premium hardware, but we don't. I'll remove the other joystick and the top trigger buttons. These are spring loaded but luckily come as a complete unit, so we don't have to deal with the tiny springs flying off into the abyss. I'll unscrew 3 more Phillips head screws around the loudspeaker and unplug the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth signal wires. The loudspeaker itself is pretty big and isolated on rubber pads. It's got the whole woofer exposed, as well as the large enclosure behind it. And I don't see any balls, but with a speaker already as big as this, it probably doesn't need them. The vibrator comes out next. I made a whole video on how vibrators work a while back. This is a haptic style vibrator, very similarly sized to the vibrator that was inside of the iPhone Air. I always appreciate a good organ donor. Xbox put the vibrator on both sides of the Ally X. I'll remove 4 more screws holding down the black cooling vapor chamber system over the processor. This vapor chamber uses fins and the dual internal fans to keep the Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme processor cool. It's got like 8 cores. The heat pipe is very similar to other gaming systems and laptops. The Nintendo Switch 2's pipe wins in girth, but the ROG Ally's pipe wins in length. I'll remove 2 more screws holding in the motherboard, as well as the larger LCD display ribbon cable. Also, the power button at the very top unplugs just like a little Lego. It's the only Lego-style ribbon connector on the whole board. The rest are ZIFs. And there she is, in all her blue Easter egg-less glory. I'm mostly disappointed in the price, of course, but I'm also disappointed in the lack of Easter eggs. ROG managed to add their logo to the outside a Google amount of times, but couldn't squiggle a Master Chief on the insides anywhere. The back side of the motherboard has some foam airflow channels, kinda smart. The micro SD and headphone jack are soldered to the main board, And of course, the LCD screen is permanent, so if the glass ever breaks, you kinda just gotta bust it out of the housing. Fingers crossed my Ally still works when I put it back together. With the blue motherboard installed and the cooling system with its original thermal paste screwed back in, it's kinda like bubblegum that you find under a desk. It definitely works just as good the second time around. I can put the joysticks back in place, along with the speaker, vibrator, dual turbofans, SSD, battery, and a whole lot more of the ZIFs. It's a pretty cool system. I mean, personally, I'd rather buy 2 Nintendo Switches instead of 1 Xbox Ally X, but I guess it boils down to what kind of games you play. If you're gonna drop a full stack though on a gaming console, make sure you're protected with a kill switch case. Dbrand actually worked with the team over at Microsoft to certify compatibility, and it is a certified beast. The grippy rubberized texture on the side totally debrands the ROG lettering everywhere, while completely protecting the whole unit. There's even cute little booties for the joysticks. My favorite part though is the travel cover, which keeps those potentiometer joysticks from getting prematurely kinked and permanently damaged. Dbrand says it's crush proof, which I might have to test someday, but until then there are a few days left of Dbrand's holiday sale, and you can get $45 off if you get the screen protector at the same time. To keep your joysticks safe for years to come, a kill switch case is basically mandatory. The link is down in the description, and thanks a ton for watching. I'll see you around.